language adventurers, and a huge welcome back to another exciting episode of Idiom Insights. I'm Emma, thrilled as always to be your guide as we navigate the wonderfully winding roads of the English language together. It's fantastic to have your company today.
And hello from me, Jack, your friendly neighborhood word nerd, here to add a little bit of laughter and perhaps a slightly questionable pun to our idiom exploration. We're genuinely delighted you've chosen to tune in and boost your English skills with us here on Idiom Insights.
That's right, Jack. We believe learning should be an enjoyable journey. And today, we have 4 absolutely brilliant idioms lined up for you. These are expressions that add color and depth to English, and understanding them will really help you connect more naturally in conversations.
You bet! Get ready to flex those brain muscles, listeners. Today on Idiom Insights, we're tackling a quartet of intriguing phrases. First, the motivational mantra. No pain, no gain. Sounds like something you'd hear in a gym. Then, a rather curious one. Not playing with a full deck. What could that possibly mean? Third, a phrase that often brings relief. Off the hook. We'll find out why it brings relief. And finally, a compliment in disguise. On the ball. We'll see who qualifies for this description.
What a great selection, Jack. They cover quite a range of situations. Now, before we delve into the world of effort and reward with no pain, no gain, we have a very small friendly request. If you're enjoying these explorations into English idioms with Idiom Insights and you don't want to miss out on future episodes, please take just a second to click that subscribe or follow button on your podcast app.
Absolutely. And hitting the like button or leaving a positive rating really does help us out immensely. It lets us know you're finding these sessions useful and makes it easier for other English learners around the world to discover our podcast. Right, housekeeping done. Emma, shall we dive into our first idiom? Are you ready for some potential pain? For linguistic gain, of course?
Haha, I'm ready, Jack. Let's kick things off with no pain, no gain. This is a very well-known proverb, actually, not just an idiom. What does it mean, Jack? It sounds quite intense.
It does sound a bit dramatic, doesn't it? But the meaning is quite straightforward and often very true. No pain, no gain means that you have to work hard, put in effort, and sometimes endure difficulty or discomfort, the pain, in order to achieve success or improvement, the gain. You can't expect good results without making a significant effort. Think of it like building muscles. You have to challenge them, which can be uncomfortable for them to grow stronger.
That's a perfect analogy, Jack. It's used very often in contexts like sports and fitness, just like you suggested. If someone is complaining about how tough their workout is, their trainer might say, "Come on, keep going. No pain, no gain." It's meant to be motivational, reminding them that the hard work will lead to positive results, like getting stronger or fitter.
Exactly. But it's not just about physical exercise. It applies to many areas of life. Think about learning a new language, like English. It takes hours of study, memorizing vocabulary, practicing grammar, maybe feeling a bit embarrassed when you make mistakes. That's the pain part. But the gain is huge, being able to communicate with people from all over the world. So no pain, no gain definitely applies to language learning.
That's so true. Or studying for important exams, staying up late, reviewing difficult topics, missing out on social events. It can feel like pain, but the gain is passing the exam and achieving your academic goals. It really emphasizes the connection between effort and reward. Now, let's listen to a typical conversation where this phrase might pop up. Here are Mia and Mark discussing Mark's new fitness routine.
Morning, Mark. You look a bit tired today. Another early morning run?
Oh, good morning, Mia. Yes, 6 a.m. start again. Honestly, dragging myself out of bed when it's still dark outside is proving to be incredibly difficult. My legs are aching already.
I can imagine that's tough. But think about how much progress you've made in just a few weeks. You told me you can run much further now, right? And you feel more energetic during the day?
Well, yes, that's true. I definitely feel fitter, and I suppose the runs are getting slightly easier. But the initial effort each morning is just...
Exactly. That's the perfect example of no pain, no gain, Mark. You have to push through that initial discomfort and hard work to get the results you want. Keep focusing on how good you feel afterwards.
I suppose you have a point. No pain, no gain. I'll try to remember that when my alarm goes off tomorrow morning. Thanks, Mia.
You can really hear Mark's struggle there, but Mia uses no pain, no gain perfectly as encouragement. She acknowledges his difficulty, the pain of waking up early and aching muscles, but immediately links it to the positive outcomes, the gain of being fitter and more energetic.
Precisely. It's a reminder that valuable achievements often require overcoming challenges. So listeners, think about your own experiences. When have you found the principle of no pain, no gain to be true in your life? Maybe learning a skill, working on a project, or even saving money. Share your thoughts and examples in the comments section. We'd love to hear how this applies to you.
Okay, moving on from effort and achievement to something a bit more unusual. Our second idiom for this Idiom Insights episode is not playing with a full deck. Emma, this one sounds like a card game gone wrong.
Haha, it certainly conjures an image of someone missing a few cards, doesn't it? And the meaning is related to that idea of something being incomplete or not quite right in the head. Not playing with a full deck is an informal, colloquial way to say that someone is behaving strangely, illogically, foolishly, or seems mentally unsound. It implies they aren't thinking clearly or rationally. It's important to note this is often used humorously or informally, and sometimes critically, but it's generally not a formal or clinical way to describe someone's mental state. It just means they seem a bit odd or lacking common sense in that moment.
Ah, I see. So it's like saying someone's a few cards short of a full deck, or a bit crazy, but perhaps slightly less direct. For example, if your friend suggests investing all their savings in a very obviously risky and strange business idea, you might think to yourself, wow, that sounds like a terrible plan. Is he not playing with a full deck today? You're questioning their judgment and sanity in that specific situation.
Exactly. Or imagine watching a comedy film where a character does increasingly absurd and illogical things. You might turn to your friend and whisper, "This character is hilarious. He's clearly not playing with a full deck." It highlights their eccentric or nonsensical behavior in a lighthearted way. However, you do need to be a bit careful using it, as saying it about someone directly could be considered rude or insulting if not used in a clearly joking context among friends.
That's a very important point, Emma. Context and tone are key with this one. It's more often used about someone not present or about fictional characters, or perhaps in a self-deprecating way, like, "Wow, I completely forgot that meeting. I'm really not playing with a full deck this morning." Now, let's listen to Mia and Mark discussing someone they both know. Maybe a neighbor with some peculiar habits?
Mark, did you happen to see Mr. Fitzwilliam talking very seriously to his garden gnome again this morning? He was gesturing quite dramatically at it.
Oh, was he doing that again? Yes, I saw him last week giving it what looked like a weather report. He stood there for about 10 minutes, explaining the cloud formations to it.
Exactly. It's quite funny in a way, but honestly, sometimes I watch him and I do wonder if he's, not playing with a full deck. His reasoning seems a little off sometimes.
Ha ha. Well, he seems like a kind old man, but yes, his conversations with inanimate objects are rather unusual, aren't they? Let's just say his deck might be missing the ace of common sense, perhaps.
That's one way to put it. Still, like you say, he's harmless, just very eccentric.
That conversation illustrates it well. Mia uses not playing with a full deck to express her feeling that Mr. Fitzwilliam's behavior is strange and illogical, questioning his rationality in a fairly gentle, informal way. Mark understands immediately and even adds a little joke building on the card metaphor.
Yes, it shows how it's used informally to describe behavior that seems off or lacking sense, often with a touch of amusement or bewilderment. So, listeners, have you ever encountered a situation or perhaps a character in a book or movie where you thought, they might not be playing with a full deck? Tell us about it in the comments. Remember, keep it general and kind.
Good reminder, Jack. All right, let's shift gears to our third idiom in this Idiom Insights session. This one often brings a sigh of relief. Off the hook.
Ooh, off the hook. That sounds like escaping something, like a fish wriggling off the fisherman's hook. Is that the idea?
That's exactly the imagery, Jack. And the meaning is very similar. If you are off the hook, it means you have been freed from an obligation, a responsibility, blame, or a difficult or unpleasant situation. You were expected to do something, or you were potentially in trouble for something, but now you are not. You've escaped.
Ah, that's a great feeling. So, for example, maybe you promised to help your friend move house next weekend, which involves lots of heavy lifting you weren't looking forward to. If they call and say, "Actually, we hired movers, so you don't need to come," you could happily exclaim, "Wow, that's great news. I'm off the hook." You are freed from that obligation.
Perfect example. Or imagine you made a small mistake at work and you were really worried you'd get into trouble with your boss. If your colleague then says, "Don't worry, I spoke to the boss, explained it was a team error, and everything is fine now," you would feel immense relief and could say, "Phew, thanks so much for sorting that out. I really thought I was going to be in trouble, but it sounds like I'm off the hook." You've escaped the blame.
It definitely implies escaping something undesirable. It could be escaping work, escaping blame, escaping an awkward social situation, anything you weren't looking forward to dealing with. Let's hear how Mia and Mark use this one. Perhaps one of them managed to avoid an unpleasant task.
Mia, you will not believe the email I just received from head office. Remember that incredibly boring 2-day mandatory training seminar we were both scheduled for next month?
Oh yes, the one about advanced spreadsheet synergies, or something equally thrilling. I was absolutely dreading spending 2 whole days on that, Mark. Why, what does the email say?
Well, apparently there was a scheduling conflict with a major client visit, so they've decided to postpone the training indefinitely for our department. We don't have to go.
No way! Are you serious? We're actually free? We don't have to sit through hours of spreadsheet talk?
Exactly. We are completely off the hook. Isn't that the best news you've heard all week?
That is absolutely fantastic news. I feel like celebrating. Being off the hook from that training is a huge relief.
You can almost feel their shared joy and relief, can't you? They were both obligated to attend something they considered unpleasant, the boring training, and now that obligation has been removed. They are definitively off the hook.
It perfectly captures that feeling of escape from responsibility or an unwanted situation. So, listeners, when was the last time you felt you were off the hook? Maybe you were excused from a chore, or a meeting was canceled? Share your happy escape stories in the comments below.
We look forward to reading those. And that brings us to the 4th and final idiom for today's episode of Idiom Insights. It's a very positive one, on the ball.
Okay, this makes me think of sports again. Like a player who is focused, knows where the ball is, and is ready to react?
That's a brilliant way to think about it, Jack. And it's very close to the meaning. If someone is on the ball, it means they are alert, knowledgeable, competent, efficient, and quick to understand and react to things. They are aware of what's happening and are ready to deal with it effectively. It's the opposite of being slow, unprepared, or out of touch.
Ah, so it's a compliment about someone's competence and awareness. You might describe a really good assistant who always anticipates what's needed, has all the information ready, and solves problems quickly by saying, "Wow, my assistant Sarah is amazing. She is always on the ball." It means she's highly efficient and knows what she's doing.
Exactly. Or think about a student in class who always knows the answers, has done the reading, and asks intelligent questions. The teacher might think, young Thomas is really on the ball this semester. It highlights his preparedness and quick understanding. It implies reliability and intelligence in action.
It suggests someone is mentally sharp and focused on the task at hand. They don't miss important details, and they respond appropriately and quickly. Right. Let's tune in one last time to Mia and Mark. Who are they praising for being particularly efficient?
Mark, I have to say, organizing this charity fundraising event was much smoother than I expected it to be, especially considering how many different things needed coordinating.
I completely agree, Mia, and I think a huge amount of credit has to go to David from the volunteers team. Did you see how he handled that last-minute problem with the caterers?
Oh, I did. The delivery was late and the driver was lost, but David just calmly got on the phone, tracked down the driver with new directions, and reorganized the serving schedule slightly, all within about 10 minutes.
Exactly. He didn't panic at all. He knew exactly who to call and what needed to happen. He was completely on the ball the entire day, anticipating problems before they even happened.
He really was. Having someone so alert and competent like David managing the logistics made all the difference. Definitely on the ball.
That's a wonderful example of someone being on the ball. David demonstrated alertness, competence, and quick, effective action in a potentially stressful situation. Mia and Mark used the idiom to praise his efficiency and preparedness.
It really highlights those positive qualities of being mentally quick and highly capable. So, our fantastic listeners, can you think of someone you know, or perhaps someone you work with, who is always on the ball? What makes you describe them that way? Let us know in the comments. It's always nice to acknowledge competence.
Absolutely. And just like that, we've reached the end of our exploration of 4 more fascinating English idioms here on Idiom Insights. Let's quickly recap the gems we've uncovered today.
We certainly packed a lot in. Today we learned, no pain, no gain. Effort and difficulty are necessary for achievement. Not playing with a full deck, behaving illogically or foolishly, seeming mentally unsound, used informally. Off the hook, freed from obligation, blame, or a difficult situation. On the ball, alert, competent, knowledgeable, and quick to react.
Excellent summary, Jack. We truly hope that diving into these idioms has been both helpful and enjoyable for you all. Remember, the key to mastering idioms is to start recognizing them and then bravely trying to use them yourself in the right context.
That's the way. Don't be afraid to experiment. The more you use them, the more natural they'll become. And hey, if you had a good time learning with us today on Idiom Insights and feel a little more confident with these phrases, we would be incredibly grateful if you could show your support with a quick like, a star rating, or even a short review.
And please, make sure you're subscribed or following Idiom Insights so that you don't miss the boat on our next episode. We'll be back soon with another batch of intriguing English expressions to explore together. We absolutely love having you as part of our global language learning community.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, keep listening, keep practicing, keep asking questions, and keep enjoying the wonderful process of learning English.
Goodbye, everyone. Take care and happy idiom hunting.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.